Is it the gladiator or the knight? Can the referee win the contest, or does the photographer shoot sharper? And is the strong werewolf also better than the chaos werewolf? Well, let's find out in this top 10. So quickly before we start, in December of 2021 I hosted a role contest for you, and around 40 of you submitted a total of around 100 unique roles. For every good role I decided to donate €1 to charity, and with a total of 50 good roles, I'm happy to tell you that I just donated €50 to Save the Children, a charity that helps children in need worldwide. The Discord community got the up or down vote for all these 50 roles, and then 20 roles remained. Out of those, I picked up a top 10, and here we are. Time to present you the top 10 roles.
Number 10. Chaos Wolf by Redditor.
You are Werewolf, and once per game you can activate Chaos Knight. During Chaos Knight, all checked players by CS will appear as Chaos Wolf. On top of that, whoever dies to werewolves during that night and the following day will have their role hidden, much like when the Corruptor kills a player. That includes that player cannot be revived. What is nice about this role is that the werewolves have to make a very crucial decision in who to kill in that night. Important note, the village cannot see when the ability is used, but obviously if a villager dies with hidden role, you can figure out that the Chaos Knight was turned on, and if that happens you might want to think twice about information that was given, or just ignore it for that day. That part gives this role an extra level of strategy.
Number 9. Referee by Argent Q.
This role belongs to the village, and you get 3 yellow cards and 1 red card. You can give 1 card at night to another player, and if someone gets 2 yellow cards or 1 red card, that player cannot speak, vote, use abilities, etc. during the next day and night. You have 3 yellow cards so that there is some leeway in case you give a villager a yellow card by accident. You can use the red card when someone is really threatening or claims to be referee himself, and you can give a yellow card to semi-suspicious players, like someone who claims to be RV when all the RRV spots are taken. This role replaces the Grumpy Grandma, and even though it is close in concept, this role has that layer of strategy with role blocking at night as well, which sets this role apart. Since it has limited uses, newer players cannot annoy people as easily for the sake of pissing off others. Definitely a great improvement in comparison to Grumpy Grandma.
Number 8. Vampire by Your Mom's Used Dad. You may vote to bite someone each night. If you successfully convert someone, you must wait another night before biting again.
Hey, stop reading the wiki page of the vampire from Town of Salem. This is another vampire. Okay, the real vampire, made by Your Mom's Used Dad, is a killing role that can either suck blood or kill a player at night. If you suck blood, that player will not die at the end of the night, but at the end of the following day, meaning that player gets to live another discussion phase and a voting phase. This grants the vampire 1 power per villager and 2 power per werewolf that falls victim. The other option at night is to use your power in the form of direct kills, but this costs power. Direct kills just die at the end of the night, just like your average solo killer. So if you first suck 2 villagers, then in night 3 you can kill 2 players. What makes this role so good is the amount of strategies that goes into killing. Will you suck a lot of blood and give your victims that extra chance a day to lynch you? Or will you suck, kill, suck, kill? Sometimes the best part of a role is hidden in the details, and that definitely applies to the vampire. Because killing werewolf is usually a bad idea as solo killer, but here you get more kills if you kill werewolves. Of course, that is a deadly dilemma there, because less werewolves is more attention for you.
Number 7. Dollmaker by Werewolf Person.
The Dollmaker is really made for custom games and crazy game modes. This role is a converter that can convert 1 person per night into a doll. That person now belongs to the dollmaker's team and keeps their role, like villagers when they are sected. Unlike the sect leader though, the members are way more vulnerable and the dollmaker itself is less vulnerable. When the seer checks a doll, the doll dies immediately, which gives the seer a totally new purpose. On top of that, the dollmaker can see the rolls of dolls, and if the dollmaker dies, the remaining dolls do not die. This role is quite wild as you can see and is a creative twist on the sect leader and zombie, but since converters usually do not work in competitive scenarios and this role is even more extravagant than the sect leader, this role is purely judged from an alternative game mode view. Please tell me if you think this role could actually fit in ranked though. I'm really curious to see what you think of such a role in that context.
Number 6. Mirage Wolf by Chatoleo.
A wolf medium, but way better. The Mirage Wolf can select a fellow werewolf, and if that werewolf dies, it actually doesn't die. The dead werewolf will appear as dead to the non-werewolves, but actually it is still alive. It can still vote at night with the werewolves, it can still chat with the werewolves, it can even use the abilities, and it also counts towards the win condition. So if you end up having the Mirage Wolf and the seemingly dead werewolf and on the other team there are 2 villagers, the werewolves actually get a win. The dead wolf may not speak or vote during daytime though, so any village interaction is impossible. The only catch, which actually makes this role balanced, is that the dead werewolf actually dies when the Mirage Wolf dies himself, which means they are essentially coupled. Even if most Mirage Werewolves would use their ability on the Wolfseer, this ability can sometimes be way better by letting the Shadow Wolf live a second life.
So then the werewolf bones can outvote the village.
Number 5. Photographer by Samwo de Grote.
Ah, the sharpshooter. As photographer you can place your camera at the player at night, but not on yourself. 2 nights after that, you find out the identity of this role through a picture. You get a button to send the picture to the village and then everyone can see the identity of that player or its killer. If your target is killed at night, you see who the killer is. In case the werewolves kill them, you get to see the weakest werewolf. So if you place the camera at the beast hunter at night 2 for example and he doesn't die, you can present the identity of the beast hunter on day 4, directly after night 4. The nice thing about this role is that even though it replaces the aura seer, this is a role that can present rock solid information, but it requires a lot of planning into who will be killed if you want to snap a bad roll at least. So to some extent this role is a seer but way more balanced. Therefore I think this role is best as an RV or in combination with an aura seer rather than as a replacement of aura seer. And that is really the only problem I had with this role. After all, it's not guaranteed that you get to present information at all, since if your target dies at daytime by lynching or gets tagged by Junior Werewolf for example, you get no information at all. And of course, after the picture, you can place your camera again.
Number 4. Vengeful Wolf by Mr. Peer.
This role is really simple and I actually could see this work. You are werewolf and you can select a teammate at night. If that teammate dies by a specific player like gunner, jailer or witch, then you take revenge on your teammate and the killer of your teammate dies as well. At first this role might seem quite bad or kinda boring, but I think this could work because the villagers with firepower will think twice before using their bullets. And if you play this role correctly, you can select a teammate that is going to do an aggressive strategy or is being suspected by the village. In that way, you can set up some sort of trap and try to lure a bullet to a fellow werewolf to get a very important role kill as well. This role will come with its own meta and meta shifts. Like initially a lot of players may fall for the Vengeful Wolf trap, but later on the gunners might hesitate on shooting aggressive werewolves and then alternative strategies will be introduced by highly skilled players. And then the number 3 is the Death Reaper by Fun Forever. You are a villager. At night, you can select a player to take sadness from. The next day you have to predict whether that player dies or survives the next night. If the person survives the next night and you guess that, you get a body. If you guessed that the person dies and that happens, you get their soul. If you have both a soul and a body and you die, you can revive yourself once. After you revive yourself, you can no longer collect bodies and souls. This role has a lot of potential and this role would be so sick to play, hence a third place is deserved. During the game, your goal is to, of course, win with the village, but you also have a bonus challenge, namely making good predictions. This requires a lot of big brains, especially when you try to predict a victim for your soul. This role is a replacement for the medium, and in most games this role is easier to simulate than medium if you are a werewolf. It is also weaker, but that is really nice sometimes for balance. Although the creator did not specify it, I assume this role can revive itself whenever it wants to, as long as it's dead, of course, and it has the body and the soul, and it is of course nighttime. The Death Reaper is really good, but are still 2 spots left. What roles will make it in?
Number 2. Booby Trapper by Govmare.
First of all, I should mention that I changed the name from Redneck to Booby Trapper, because Redneck is a controversial, denigrating word that the devs will probably not like to have in the game. The Booby Trapper is a villager that can select a player at night. If that player is attacked, the attacker will die instead of the player. If the player is not attacked, the selected player will die and you, as the Booby Trapper, will have a trial day. This does not mean anything on its own, but if your selected target was a villager, you die at the beginning of the day after trial day. If your selected target was a werewolf or any other bad role, you are less guilty, but you are still guilty, so you will be killed at the beginning of the second day after trial day. If you killed the attacker of the selected player, you receive a shield that protects you once against evil rolls and you gain your ability back. This role may seem complex because it has many different outcomes, but that makes this role such an amazing role as well. You could select someone who you suspect and kill that player, which is beneficial, but it will also mean that you die yourself. The other route is selecting a proven good role, hoping they get attacked by a bad player, and then your ability really pays off because the attacker dies and you get another shot and you are buffed with a shield. This role is really good for high skilled lobbies for sure, and perhaps with a few modifications to make it less risky, this role could also fit in sandbox and quick game. For me, the only downside here was the initial name, but that is something I could already change, let alone what a big community can do. And now, for our number 1, is it the strong werewolf or maybe the knight? I can tell you, they are both not it. Here is the actual only number 1.
Silencer by Natsu Dragneel.
Congratulations, this role wins the contest. The Silencer belongs to the werewolves but cannot vote with the werewolves nor chat with them. It only knows who the werewolves are. This role is actually really similar to the sorcerer in that perspective, but an important difference is that it can be watered and their ability is different. Every night the Silencer namely needs to select a player that he thinks the werewolves will kill. If the Silencer indeed selects the same player as the other werewolves, then the killed player will have its role hidden and thus cannot be revived. This role is the winner because it's very simple. It has an ability that requires a lot of thought if you want it to work, and for the sake of balance this role is a really good one too. Getting someone's role hidden is really useful because that means they cannot be revived again, but it's also really difficult. And in some scenarios a hidden role opens up room for a werewolf to claim a role without counterclaims, of course. This role was also the most popular in my Discord server with 35 votes in favor and only 1 vote against. That is really exceptional, because a big majority had more downvotes than upvotes. I definitely think this is the only role that deserved this win, but that does not take away that all the other roles in this video have a lot of potential too. So yeah, if you are in the top 3, make sure to send me a DM in Discord or in Wolvesville. I will give you the prize that was promised. And I want to thank you for your amazing contribution, even if you didn't submit a role. For more Wolvesville content, make sure to subscribe to this channel, and who knows that there will be one in the future again. We'll see you later, and don't be a traitor. Goodbye.